Okay, so for today's video I wanted to talk real quick about my mold guide replacements for my RCBS Promelt as well as the Lyman MAG25 melting pots. A while back, let's see, a few months ago, I had gone in and talked to Al at the NOE bullet mold shop, and I talked to Al about building a replacement mold guide, or like a shelf to slide on top of the L-shaped current RCBS mold guide, and specifically I wanted to have a little shelf that would be able to make it easier to cast using the hollow point molds. The hollow point molds on the they have these little clips on the bottom, and casting on the RCBS pot with those little clips is kind of difficult, because as you move it forward you kind of got to lift it over the edge, lift it over the edge, lift it over the edge. And so I wanted something where I could just, you know, put the mold on the shelf and then slide it forward as I pour the bullets. So he told me to, you know, go ahead and draw something up and he'd take a look at it. And so I brought in a little drawing of with the dimensions of a mold guide shelf that was designed to slide right over the current, well, undo the two little spacer pieces and then slide the shelf on top of the current guide. And I talked to him, and I guess there were a few other people who were looking for the same type of thing. So he made a prototype of the drawing that I came up with. The prototype mold guide has 2 set screws on the bottom, and that's what you use. You slide it on to the existing mold guide of the RCBS pot, and then you tighten the set screws, and that locks it in place. And I was testing that for a while, and it was working really great. And shortly after, I had ordered the Lyman MAG25, which I did a previous video on. And as you can see, the mold guide that it came with was garbage. It did not work for anything except Lyman molds, I believe. And I don't really have any Lyman molds, so it was useless to me. And I ended up just taking the whole mold guide off and stacking a couple ingots to use temporarily. And I went into the shop and to see if I could figure out something to fix that issue with. And Al wanted to see if we could modify the RCBS prototype in order to use it for both pots, kind of to make a universal mold guide for those 2 pots. And so we went ahead and made some changes. We had to extend it a little bit longer because the Lyman pot sits it's lower and sits back, the spout does. And so in order for it to be a little bit more user-friendly, then we had to extend that. I think we took it out like we might have taken it out ½ inch or 1 inch longer than the RCBS prototype. And that seemed to work really well, except the handles, when you brought it forward, they would bump the edge. And it was a problem that we didn't previously have with the shorter prototype. And so as you can see on the new one, it has some little cutouts on the 2 ends, and so that way when you're sliding the mold forward, the handles don't hit that left edge. And if you notice, you can see there's a groove cut out at the bottom, and what that is for is the NOE RG molds, the hollow point molds. And that little groove cut out in the bottom, what it allows it to do is it makes sure that the pins, the RG pins, hollow point pins, when they're all the way dropped to the bottom, that they don't come in contact with the mold guide. When the hollow point pins don't get bumped on the bottom, it allows you to have consistently good hollow points in your bullets. It prevents that little ring that you sometimes see on some of the hollow points at the top of the bullet. I told Al after, doing a bunch of testing that I thought the designs were finalized and ready to go, and so he went ahead and made a bunch. So I think they're in the shop right now, and I think they're only like 25 bucks. So if you cast, if you have an RCBS Promelt pot and you cast with the RG molds and you want to make it a little bit easier, then you should give the new mold guide a try. And if you have one of the Lyman pots, I would say it's almost a necessary thing unless you build your own replacement mold guide. But for 25 bucks, it sure works really well. So, thanks for watching and stay safe.